Here's a little Imagine Grand Design travel trailer. So we got the air conditioners loose. So normally what we do when we get them in, obviously we power them up. There's a cord. And then what we do is go and check everything. We've got an inspection sheet here. We want to make sure everything works. That's what that inspection sheet's for. Then we throw all of these pads around everything, all over the furniture, everywhere. Then we also put some padding down here. We don't want to get any debris. We want to take care of your coach. So now we get all that done, and then we're going to go take a look on top here. And I started to take some of these screws out. You can see we got this slide right here is open. I like to check those slides to see if there's any issues with them. But we had to open them up anyways to get in there and loosen up the ACs. So I'll show you some of the stuff that I see right now. Alright, then we started loosening up the ladder. We're going to take the ladder off and inspect it. What we do for the ladder is we want to make sure these are all tight. That's one thing, but also it allows us to put our walk boards on the back here across from side to side. It just gives us a little bit more room on the catwalk. But you can see that, you know, they just got all this self-leveling on here. So, and I'm not a fan of that. I mean, it's just, look at the way they slathered all over that. That's just nonsense because it's going to interrupt the reception on there. So we're going to relocate that. You know, we'll probably put it on the other side or maybe even down here, but I'm going to relocate it so it's out in the open a little bit more. So on, I started taking this off, and you can see some of the rusty screws, but there's no butyl behind here. See how dry that is? That's dry. There's nothing there. There's no butyl at all. Nothing. They put just this thin little bit of caulking on here. Just this thin little bit of caulking. That's it on there. So I'm going to pop this off and then we'll check everything else out. But this is the way they put them together, as you probably already know. This is just an imperfection on the roof. I don't know why it does that discoloration. I'll open that up and you'll see the other side won't be black. It's just right here on the surface. It's kind of weird. Haven't been able to figure out that anomaly yet. So, but same thing with the air conditioner. You got it just sitting on the roof. We're going to elevate all of this. We're going to get it all over here. So they want you to keep checking around here. And I'll admit that this looks pretty well around here. It looks like a better self-leveling. Again, still, I'm not a proponent of it. Right here, they call that a vent. It doesn't vent. It can't vent. There's no way it can vent. So some people keep swearing it's a vent and it's going to let air out. But I will tell you, it doesn't work. And there's a principle of ventilation, and I shall show you how ventilation works. So, we'll say this is a house. This is a soffit right here. Here's your soffit overhanging. All right, then this is going to be open right here. This is going to be open, so you have a soffit vent here. Normally you'll have either a ridge vent up in here, or you may have these louvers right here similar to that. So the whole idea is that air flows like this. That's how it works. It'll flow up either through there or through the ridge, right? That's how it works. It needs a lower draw. If it doesn't have a lower draw, it can't vent. Plain and simple. Don't have a lower draw, it isn't going to work. So a lot of people like to argue that point, but feel free to go and do some investigation yourself. Owens Corning has a really good video on how ventilation works. But like I said, that little doodad over there, that's not a vent. We're just going to pull it off, get rid of it, and put a new roof on there. So let's see here. Alright, so when I get a knife, I'll open this up and I'll show you all this, what's going on underneath here. Then we're going to just start taking everything apart. But all of these screws right here, they weren't sealed either, which may explain why some of these are all rusty. Not all of them, enough of them. So when you see a rusty shank, see how this screw in particular right here, see how it doesn't look rusty on the actual head of the screw, but it does right here. That means that you've got moisture going in here. That's what that means. Same with this one. You've got some moisture going in there causing that rot. That's the only thing it's going to cause, or the rust rather. It's the only thing that's going to cause it. So, all right, so while we're doing all this, you just skip the ads on these things. We don't monetize, so just skip the ads and you know, try to enjoy the video. we just like to try to show all the work we do and try to get some education out here, you know, so folks know what to look for possibly, and how a good roof system is supposed to function and how it gets assembled. The other thing the main reason we do these videos is so the customer can see everything that we found. The customer can see everything that we, you know, fixed, or if we did, and so on and so forth. So that's the whole scope of the videos. They weren't really intended as to be like YouTube contenters. We're not. So we just post these things up here. So like I said, feel free to skip the ads. Other than that, I'm gonna, like you said, try and get the rest of this off of here, and we'll start working around slowly, and I'll show you as we go along what I got, and we'll go from there. That's that vent. Look at all that. See how much booger was on there. Flip it back over. Hey, let me see that. Just toss it over. Look at there. That looks like it was sealed real well. Evidently not. Unless they resealed it afterwards. But I mean, people would think, hey, that's sealed. Where's the water getting in? That's all rotted. That's mush. Yeah. I wonder if the plumbing's going to be the same. We're going to find out. So when I got up here, I got a tool that I use to scrape all this out. So I started doing it. And then I realized that the only thing I really stuck to was the screws. But it's pretty much loose. This is pretty much all loose right in here. Like you can get your fingers under it. You can actually see that clean spot under there. See? That's a leak right there. So this side over here was a lot more loose like this. Like you can basically peel it up right there. See? That didn't stick. It doesn't stick to plastic. See? The water, so this doesn't seem like much. People go, oh, just a little bit. What happens is when water gets in there, and especially in the cold, it'll turn to ice. When it turns to ice, it opens it up. Then when it warms up, water got out. And now you get another condensation and moisture that gets in during the night, freezes, and it's chronic, and it'll start working it out, and then it all fails. But it doesn't stick to plastic. This stuff doesn't stick to plastic. You can see, like it's stuck to the screw, but it doesn't like the plastic. Yeah, I don't know if you can see how clean that is, but you can almost see a sheen through it, like on there. It's so slick. So that's why we don't do that type of roof system. These aren't designed. This isn't how you put together a roof. I'm wondering what I'm going to find under here. So we had some rot over here. I already showed all that. And that plumbing seemed okay. This one seemed okay so far. So we don't know what else we got, obviously, because the roofing is up. It's still on it. I'll try to take this front turn bar off. So this didn't stick too well on there. But then I got this tape right here. See the tape? See the film on the back? They never peeled the film off. You can actually see it right there. So that should be pretty easy once I get all that booger off there. But yeah, they just load it all up on here, so I got to get it off of this as well. We'll do the best we can. So overall, the deck looks good. Looks pretty well. So we're going to pull it up. I think the only issue we would have, looks like, is going to be right here. That's the only rot that we're looking at. So we're going to see what the underside looks like when we pull this up. So keep that in mind. We're going to see what the underside looks. Look how thin this insulation is. It's really narrow. Put a couple of pieces here. They took this piece and just folded it up. But that's all it is. It needs more insulation, in my opinion. So now all we're doing, we're going to take everything up, check all the trunk lines, check everything, check all the wires. So like these wires here, that's going through wood, so that's okay. Some come through a ferrule. If I find them, I'll show you, but we're cleaning everything up. I wanted to show you how cheap this insulation is. So this is what we're looking for. We want to make sure these are all the joints are taped up well. That's what we're trying to find. You know, like right here, they put some on here for these wires, which is pretty good. They don't slip around. I guess maybe that's something just got on it. Probably something just got on it. That doesn't look too bad. Got some right there. This is why we pull the decking. This This is why we pull everything. This is a common problem right here. I haven't seen on the other side. Check out this one. You want those tight. That's where all your air goes. So you want to keep that as tight as you can. Go around the other way. You know, I'm trying to check out all these wires. These ones just loop around back over there. That one goes down through there. I want to check those there. It looks like a piece of plastic on there, but I'll check it. Could be a piece of metal. I just want to make sure the wires are protected. That's all. All that bouncing, it can basically chafe the wire. So let me sneak around you there. Thanks. Coming around, coming around, coming around, coming around. Got a little bit right here. A little bit right there is a little loose. I just put one lick on there. So this isn't as bad as some of the other ones we've seen, but that's why we pull them. I got a little bit right here too, and actually on that side over there that I showed you, I couldn't see over here, but we can see now. From this angle, it's lifted up. This is the stuff you want to get. So earlier, when we were looking at it, we had that one piece that was rotted, or one piece of decking from that vent, and we were saying, I told you to pay attention, that this would be a candidate for a spray roof. But you would end up spraying over these here, right, where you have issues with the ductwork. That's why we do that. Yeah, this was, I think the bad spot was right about here somewhere. You know, you can see some little bit of staining. But you would never have caught this other issues with the ductwork if you had sprayed or rolled over this roof. That's what the whole point of it. You know, even like this one right here. Eventually those are just going to get worse. And when they do, then all that cold air is blowing up. Basically, if you want to call this the attic area, it's going to be blowing up into there, into the underside of the roof. Well, how do you fix it then? So you want to do all this now while you have the opportunity. The other thing we're looking for is trusses. I want to make sure they're all secured. I want to make sure they're not split. I want to make sure they're structurally sound. So that's important. And then anything else, it just looks suspect underneath here. Like I said, the wires, which are what I'm looking for. And all those wires come up from that. That's a chase wall that I showed you where the cluster of wires come up. That's a chase wall. So I just want to check that, how it comes out, to make sure it's not marring up any of the wires. And if it is, then we're going to put something around them to kind of act like a buffer. It doesn't matter what it is, just something to cushion it. I just don't want it to chafe out, you know, and get all chafed. Those ones over there that I was telling you about. So we'll check them all. So, alright, well, we'll keep you posted on more after we get this thing all cleaned up. We taped up all the ductwork. We got all that done. Checked all the wires. That one that was down there that had the wires coming out from the chase wall, we checked that out. That's all blunted over, so it's not going to compromise the wires. So now the other thing we did is you can see how puffed up the insulation is. Before it was down below the trusses. So what we did is we put in some insulation, and I like using this blown in insulation because I can get it in between these little, in between the rafters. You can get it in there. You can push it all around. It's going to be a lot warmer in the winter, a lot cooler in the summer. So, and then the other thing we did, and I don't know why Grand Design did this, but they had that antenna right there. That's going to get blocked by the vent. It was a dumb idea. It was almost right up against the vent. So we just moved it over here. We're going to put it right here. So other than that, we're getting everything together so we can get the decking on here. We're prepping up for our solar ventilation for the Skylight, and we'll show you that after a bit. You can see how much insulation we got in there. We packed it at least another 1.5 to 2 inches in there to build it up. Alrighty, so I guess I didn't show you that we actually glued these all down, and then we stapled it all down. They had a few screws in there, but especially on those trusses, on these particular ones, this was wood. It wasn't OSB or some synthetic, and you put too many screws, you can tend to split them. On here, we lucked out. There wasn't, but they didn't put a lot of screws either. We glue everything down. So everything's all glued, and this is just a strip we put over it, because sometimes when the plywood sits there, those trusses aren't always even, and sometimes you may get a little unevenness in the plywood. You can see it. I just don't want to see it. So put these shoulders on right here, and that protects the roofing when it comes over, so this way it doesn't chafe the edge of the roofing, right? So they had a piece of tape on here. That's what they put on there. Grand Design did. So we like these better. It's a lot stronger. You're not gonna. And then we also did the back. We're gonna probably put a gutter on the back. If I can get one on here, I'm gonna put a gutter on there. And other than that, we're about ready to get the roofing, actual roofing on here. That's what we're about to do. Well, we're making progress. So we got the roof all laid out. But and then I wanted to show you that all these screws, every single one of them are all sealed. That's important. So we got all of those sealed. We got both the gutters on, and now I'm going to put a gutter on the back. So now when this water comes off the coach, it doesn't run down the window and everything. I want it away, and I'm going to put some gutter spouts on here too. And then they had these funky plastic things right here that were just problematic, you know, because they were rounded. Where are they? They're around there somewhere. Let's see where they are in this mess that I got. There they are. See, they're kind of rounded. They don't fit so well on there like that. Then you got to really load it with booger. So I don't know, maybe we'll put them back on. Don't look terrible, but that's what the purpose of this is, just to protect the corner. So basically a little shoulder patch, that's all. And I may put that on there. It doesn't look terrible, but now that it's all protected, I don't know if I would have wanted to put it on without that, is what I'm getting at. So, and so we're prepping for this. And this, and we'll get the air on and everything else. Well, we're all done with our Imagine. Ready to go, ready to roll out. So we put this little marker on here. That's just so we can keep up with the roof system when they come in for inspections. We just like to know how old it is. Or if we decide to sell it, then you can say, hey, the roof was just put on, it's still under warranty. So everything you see here, this is a commercial grade TPO. It's a 60 mil. That's the thickness they call it. It's a 60 mil. So not only did we take the customer out of an RV grade and move them up to commercial, on a commercial roof, the membranes start off at 45. We upgraded one more to a 60. Everything you see here, we custom make. I make every single component here. I make all these little boots. I make the ones for the plumbing, make all the curbs, make everything. So everything is all done in-house, and everything's all heat welded. Everything around there, and you can kind of see probably some of the discoloration in a way, like the sheen around the curb. That's how much penetration the heat gets. So this is all fused together. It's one piece, so you can't take it apart. So there's no need to put any self-leveling, nothing. It's done. So, oh, and before I forget, I want to thank the customer for bringing it by to have us do the work. We really appreciate it. And anyhow, moving on, I just wanted to get that in there. Sometimes I forget, and it's, you know, when they're here, yeah, I thank them, of course, but sometimes I don't even say it on the video, which, you know, I try to do. But because we're grateful for all the work, and a lot of customers come a long way for the work we do. And, you know, we want to make sure we're doing the best job possible, look at every little detail to make sure it's not going to be a problem down the road. And if it is, we want to get it fixed, or at least to let the customer know, hey, we came across this, that, the other thing. You know, you don't want to do these things twice. So you can see, so again, going back to the curbs, those are all heat welded. All the curbs have a counter flash on them. I'll show you what a counter flash is in a minute here. You probably can't see it on there, and I have to try to stretch across the roof. You can see how we got the antenna up. It was back here, right behind this vent. That was the stupid place for it. So we just moved it out a little bit away from the air conditioner and over in that way. And we put it up on galvanized studs. So if that has to get replaced, all he has to do is go get another one. But the problem with the 360s is that up underneath, like there's a plate that I had to put on there. If not, you could reach all the way up underneath it. And all the electronics are at the top. They design it so you put it to the roof, run your screws, and slobber it with self-leveling. That's just not the right way to do it. But nonetheless, that's the way they do it. So I had to put a plate on there, but if you ever had to do that, those bolts come right off. And there's just a 9/16 wrench, undo the coax if it had to come off. The air conditioners and the vents, they're all designed where people can go right behind us to take care of something. There is no reason why a tech cannot replace this air conditioner right back the way it was if he has to take it off to service it. For whatever reason, if he did, just make sure you put these stands back on here. All they do is just give it balance. You just screw into the frame. It's not that difficult. Now up in the front, so you get all that rain coming down. What I don't want to have is a blowing rain trying to push some air back into, or excuse me, water back into that foam gasket. So that's what this front piece is. That's a front piece of counter flash that I put on there. We fabricate that too. So this way, all the water comes down and it goes, there is a counter flash on the curb itself. And this is what a counter flash is. So this is considered flashing, and then this would be your counter flash, this little tab. So when the water comes rushing by, it's going to, it's going to try to rise up, but it's not going to be able to jump. It minimizes erosion effect, and it's going to be able to get washed around. That's the purpose of it. So this counter flash on the AC, you see the black one, goes below the counter flash on the curb right here. So it's actually down here. So now the water will come and go just like that around there. So we've got these, this is a solar fan, and this is an intake for the solar fan. So up inside here is a screen, and then even after that I put another piece of filter in there. I don't want any wasps or anything getting in there making a nest. But what happens in the colder season, you'll have some dew, you may have some frost on the lens, and not only is it on the lens out here, it's actually on the inside of the lens. So what happens is some will come up, it'll evaporate this off, but on the other side it diffuses it, the moisture, and it turns to condensation. It'll trickle down or roll down the inside of the lens, and it can rot out the roof deck. So that's a good possibility. I've seen it happen. And what it'll do is start dry rotting out the roof deck, or in this case it could possibly do, it can't do it to the curb because of the way I designed them, but I still didn't want it to get anywhere else. All inside there, I don't know if I showed that, but we cladded everything inside the hole with aluminum. It goes all the way around. This aluminum goes all the way around, and it wraps on the bottom side, it wraps onto the ceiling. So if this lens were to crack, if say it did crack, it's going to hit that aluminum and roll down, and it'll go into the inner lens. And if they notice the leak, well, they know they got a cracked lens, because that's the only place it can come from. So it's kind of like a safety. I don't want it to get into the roof, into the trusses, or into the insulation or anything like that. That's why we do it. So now you get that moisture in there that I was telling you about. When the sun comes up to evaporate this off, this solar fan right here is going to kick on, and it's going to draw air from this intake. And there's a piece of ductwork that goes in there. There's a piece of ductwork that goes over here into this cavity. And what it does is it pulls air up. Now you got that inner lens, you got the outer lens, and the air is going to move over, right? The inner lens is going to move over the inner lens, and it's just going to keep cycling. The other thing it'll do is keep this a little cooler. So you probably won't have to put a pillow or anything up on there. So it'll just keep all that. So it keeps that constant air going through to keep the moisture out. You want to try to keep all of that out there. Now, how long will this last? I don't know. It's a Chinese product, so I don't know. But they're not hard to replace. Just take screws out if we had to. But obviously we can't warranty that. So you see the solar panel we got? We put them on our mounts. They had it down on the roof, and we like to have some distance here because these generate some heat, and you don't want it to deteriorate the membrane. So we got them out there again, galvanized bolts, and there's a special plate in there that secures it to the roof deck. So you're not pulling this up. It isn't coming up. Then we replace this little the connector here. We replaced that. It's got some rubber seals in there. You just tighten it up. We brought it in. The connectors that they had were all broke anyways. So it was hard to get it in, plus the cap was, it just looked like a hot mess. It was just turning sideways. So I just said put that on there. The way this is wired, if you had to service this, you're going to pop this up, bring it up, and then the wires are all connected inside. It doesn't need that C4 on here. This one we just connected inside. So all the caulking that you see on here, that's 2 strikes that we put on there. We do 2 strikes of caulking. If you've ever operated a caulking gun, you'll hear it pop and crackle, and what you did was inject an air bubble. So what happens is the coaches, they are known to rack and twist and flex a little bit. If that air bubble pops, breaches, fails, then you could potentially have a leak. So what are the chances of having one air bubble in on top of another? So, and it doesn't take very much just to go back over it with another pass. So we've got all that done, and like I said, everything is all heat welded together. So the warranty on this is a 20-year material warranty. This is the same material you're going to find, same exact material, because I buy it from the same supply house, that you're going to find on a hotel, office building, library, restaurant. Same exact material. The installation procedures, same exact installation procedures that you would find, again, on a commercial building. Same exact. Everything's the same. So the warranty on here is 20 years, and the way they measure that, it's 20 years sitting outside on a commercial building, day after day, exposed to the elements, exposed to the sun, you know, so on and so forth. So of course, that doesn't mean at 20 years it's going to fail. You know, you're going to get more than that generally out of it, but that's what they'll warranty it for, right? But a camper doesn't see all that, so I'm guessing you're going to get at least 25 years out of this thing. So down the road, if you had to, they make a recovery system. You don't ever have to tear this roof off. It doesn't come off. So you don't have to. You can put another recovery system right over it. That's what all of these coatings and recovery type products that you may see, if you're on Facebook or whatever, you may see these things pop up. They're actually designed for flat roofs with curbs. The curbs make a difference because they move the water away from the penetrations, and it minimizes erosion effect. That's the purpose of them. They do have a structural use on some applications, you know, when you get into a commercial application, but I'm not going to go into that. The main purpose on here is they're going to move that water away. It's going to protect that gasket. The other thing that works well is, since it is elevated, now the water can drain. You're not going to have pollen. You're not going to have dirt and everything all, you know, wadded up underneath there and up against the foam gasket, preventing it from draining properly. It's going to drain better. So it actually helps do all that. So the maintenance on this is real simple. All you do is soap and water, and it's done. It's that simple. And once you get soap and water, you'll be surprised it'll just pop right back. If you really wanted to, you could go to a truck wash, and you could have the whole, you know, coach pressure washed. Pressure wash it. It's not going to hurt this roof. You know, this can handle it. It's not a cheap, you know, cheap roof like the other, like the RV industry does. So the product comes, roofing comes in white, and it comes in gray, as you can see right there. And it also comes in tan. So you get the tan. These are all standard colors. They all have the same UV rating. So, and actually getting into the UV rating, because this is a higher quality product, it's actually going to reflect more UV light and stay cooler than your RV stuff. So, but there's all our information if you want to reach out to us right there, rvroofinstall.com. There's our telephone number. You can give us a call. But these are standard colors. There's no price difference. You know, if you wanted the tan, they're all the same. These are, again, our standard. So, and this has what's called a reinforced. See if it's on here. See if I can find it. Faintly, you can see some little squares in there. Yeah, there's a piece right there, actually. You can see it right there. This is a piece of mesh that's built into the product, and that's what helps it resist hail, tree branches, things like that. Easily patchable. If you had a tree branch go through this thing, I leave everybody with a patch kit for that reason. If something ever hits the roof, you want to get that resolved immediately. And the products that I leave with them are moisture cured. You can get up here and do it in the rain. That's how good the products are. So I want it stopped. And then they call me up, they go, hey Joe, a tree branch hit this thing, you know, we got to do something with it. Yep, bring it in, I'll do a hot patch on it. And that hot patch is going to be permanent. Tape is not a permanent solution, although I do leave folks with tape, but again, it's not permanent. So I just want to make sure the leak stops. Then they can bring it in. We'll be glad to put a patch on it. We don't mind doing that at all. We like to see the coaches come back once a year. So if they come back once a year, we'll keep looking at it, and we'll inspect it, and if there's anything we need to do to fix and to adjust, obviously we take care of it. And if there's something that we don't catch and it causes some issues with the roof, right, say it causes some issues and there may be a rotted roof deck, and you go, hey, it's all rotted here now and it's clear it's rotted, well, we will take care of that for you too. We will cover collateral damage. There's nobody that's going to cover collateral damage. So we put our money where, you know, put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. We have no problem stepping up to the plate with that because we don't have issues with them. So as you saw, we glued all the roof deck down. You know, we got it all fastened in, put more insulation in and so forth. So this thing's ready to go. It's, let's see, what I want to show you one more thing here. Let's see if I can, I changed out all the insert trim right here. And there's a black gutter. And I changed it all the way down. And I also changed it up at the front where it goes around. Just wanted to show you what that was like, because this black stuff is really strong, and if I take it out, it probably won't be able to put it back in. Let me go find a piece of that. Alright, so here's, this is the original. This is what they all look like. And it sits on this track. That's the way it goes. Okay? You just set it in there, then you just pinch it down, and it'll sit in that track. That's how that works. Now what I don't like about this, and that's why I don't use it, but it'll just fit in there. Trying to hold it with one hand, and there it goes. Okay, so what I don't like is that water can still roll around here and it gets in that track. That's what I don't like. So you can also see, this is the one we took off this roof. You can see all the dirt and stuff gets behind there. So what we use, and I don't sell any of this, I have to buy this literally at like 2 miles at a time. Like, I'm not joking. I think a mile is a little over 5,000 feet, and I have to buy 10,000 linear feet of this stuff. But you can see that little track. That fits, this fits inside there, so it's in and it's on the inside and outside, and it locks all that water out. See? So it's got that little track there. See, I'm holding this camera right. Yep. So that's what I like about it. So and it'll go down. So now it's not going to get back into here because it's all sealed, and it'll get into the gutter. So that's what we upgraded everything to. Took all that trash stuff off there and got rid of it and just replaced it all. So that's about us. We appreciate y'all watching, and you know, obviously if you got any questions or whatever, just give us a call. We don't like to quote on social media. You know, just send us some emails or give us a phone call. We're glad to help you out with your project. But other than that, I guess we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Care package. Right. So in our care package, we have caulking. We got primer. We have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. What you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you're trying to do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You want to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You get another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? No, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. I get my fingers, fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape, that's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails, probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hit, there it is. Now you got the film. We take that film, so now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. It doesn't all sit in there. You can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.